Wortham is the sister of Chicago police officer Thomas Wortham, who was shot to death outside his Southside home in 2010. And she is joining us tonight. Sandra, I wish it were under different circumstances. It has been a decade since your brother was shot and killed. Has anything changed in terms of the violence we're seeing in Chicago?
Not in my opinion.
Why?
It's pretty eerie, but I was telling someone earlier today that prior to Thomas's death, he was, in addition to obviously being a Chicago police officer, doing some work in our community, after seeing just a culture shift, right? In the idea of what behavior is appropriate, that we don't do certain things in our community. And there have been a couple of shootings right before he died, and we're seeing the same kind of thing. And it's not just obviously our community, it's our city, it's our nation, as you've covered today. And it's pretty discouraging because I know no one wants to live like this, but here we are 11 years later having the same conversations.
Right? I mean, it seems as though so many have become numb to it. You have said that the police and the Black community can't afford to be divided. So what are the steps in your mind that need to be taken to help tear down that wall?
Well, first, the police are the Black community, right? We sometimes speak about police as though there aren't a huge amount of Black police officers who do the job to serve their city, to serve their communities. And of course, they're Black, white, Asian, Latino. I mean, their police officers are everyone, but we should first stop talking about the police as though they're separate from the Black community. And second, acknowledge that the police serve an important function, and that is to keep order and keep us safe. And so if there are reforms that people believe need to be made to increase fairness or equity, that's totally fine. That can't happen, though, in isolation of addressing the fact that there's real crime happening. And if we are talking about the fact that we think members of the Black community over-index as offenders in the criminal justice system, we also have to talk about the fact that members of the Black community are over-indexing as victims. So to try to address the over-indexing issue of offenders and saying, well, let's talk about equity, you can't create a whole nother class of victims by ignoring the victims of violent crime that we see. And if we look at the numbers in Chicago, it's painfully evident that we have to do both at the same time.
And are we being tough enough on crime?
Oh, no, not in my opinion.
What would you like to see?
First, I think we have to start having conversations to make the public aware about actual policies, right? We talk in general terms about bail reform. We talk in general terms about not being too tough on the wrong crime. But if you talk about bail reform, you need average citizens to understand what that means. So what crimes will qualify for what we often call here in Chicago an I bond, right? Or being released pre-trial. And what crimes will we say, no, like that's one where you need to be detained because you are a risk to society. I don't think the average person understands what the consequences are of bail reform and what crimes will and will not be treated as crimes that you should have pretrial detention or pretrial release, right? Similarly, I think we need people to understand that if we're going to talk about policing and making useful reforms in policing, you can't do so in a way that overcorrects such that police can't effectively police, right? So if we think there's a problem that needs to be solved, the solution can't be to say, well, police just can't do this or can't do that if it's an effective law enforcement tool. And I think starting to have honest conversations about that, acknowledging that crime exists, is the first step.
Right, and we got to take that step. Before we let you go, Sandra, I wanted to understand some of the things that you're doing to help remember your brother. Thomas was killed in 2010. It's been 10 years. How are you keeping his memory alive?
The best thing that I can do for my brother is to work to make this city safe. That's what he wanted to do. So, I mean, I'm not a police officer, obviously, but I work in my community because that's how our parents raised us. So he was the president of our Park Advisory Council. I'm now the president of our Park Advisory Council. And I do things like this to just hopefully raise the conversation so that all of us can talk about ways to actually keep our city safe.
And give him a voice.
Yep.
55 people shot over the weekend here in Chicago. All right, Sandra Wortham, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.